Good morning, Cosmic Cousins. It's about 6:30 a.m. as I record this. I'm outside sitting with the desert, just watching the sunrise slowly over the land, and the air feels soft and quiet. I'm outside because I have a dear friend of mine who's actually been a student with me for years and has turned into a friend just organically over the years. They're staying with me tonight and they're sleeping on my couch, so I decided to come outside to record this episode early before they wake up, and also to greet the day, greet the week, and greet you here on Monday morning. This is a new rhythm we have on the podcast. It is a new podcast episode at the start of each week on Monday to connect us into the astrology of the coming week. So you'll probably hear some bird sounds in the background. I'm sitting in a place where there's lots of birds. You might also hear some cars driving by, so I apologize for that. I'm going to try this out and see how it is, but it feels pretty special to be out here with you. I'm using the Merlin app. Have you used the Merlin app? Merlin. It's an app that records and listens to birdsong and identifies the birds that are close by. And this morning we're joined by an incredible array of birds. So I wanted to share with you what some of them are. So far, the ones that this app has identified from the place that I'm recording are the black phoebe, the black-headed grosbeak. Is that right? Let me double check. The black-headed grosbeak. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. See, it teaches you some new birds. Mourning dove, the lesser goldfinch, the collared dove, the house finch, and the northern mockingbird. And if we're lucky, we will get a visit from the raven too. But yeah, I am, truthfully, my heart is very tender this morning. Earlier this week, I received news that a dear friend of mine, someone deeply woven into the Joshua Tree community, unexpectedly passed away. And so I've been moving through some grief this weekend, and that kind of comes in waves. I'm sure many of you are familiar with grief if you're listening to this podcast. So that kind of softens everything. So if my voice feels a little slower today, if there are pauses, if there's just, feeling a little quieter, that's why. I'm just tending to my heart. And I want to say, if you're listening to this and you're also holding grief or tenderness or uncertainty, you're not alone. I'm sending you love from this sunrise here in Southern California, from the desert. And so let's begin together, not with astrology just yet, but with the body. And so take a moment wherever you are to arrive. Feel your body. Notice where you're being held, whether that's the ground, a chair, your bed, your feet. Let your shoulders drop just a little. Unclench your jaw. Soften your tongue. Take a slow inhale through the nose, bringing that breath up to your brain, which is the part of the body that Aries is connected to. We're in this last and final week of Aries season. And then slowly exhale through the mouth. Again, inhale through the nose, up to the brain, the head, the scalp. Exhale, softening your face. If it feels right, you could place one hand on your heart and one on your belly and let your breath move between these two places. This week does carry a lot of water. This week also carries a lot of fire. And so water and fire together, there's a lot of alchemy taking place. So we begin here in the body, creating a container strong enough to hold both, connecting to the water in your body, connecting to the fire in your body. You can whisper to yourself, it's safe for me to feel. It's safe for me to feel. It's safe for me to soften. It's safe for me to soften. I move at the pace of my becoming. So yeah, we start the week in the deep waters, the moon in Pisces. And it's aligning with the north node of fate that's in Pisces. And the moon is also hanging out with Mars and Neptune. In Pisces, we have the Mars-Neptune conjunction taking place here on Monday, April 13th, 2026. This is an interesting combo. Mars is about action and ambition and drive, and Neptune is about dissolving, surrender, compassion, universal compassion, and mysticism. So this is a moment of surrender, but it could come in a moment of shock or force, with Mars being there. Neptune dissolves the ambition of Mars, and Mars amplifies Neptune's need to act on its mysticism or spirituality. So this could be like actively meditating or actively praying. And in the sign of Aries, there's a bit of that kind of like, almost like baptism by fire feel. So you may feel sensitive at the start of this week. Emotions might not feel linear. They may come in waves. There could be some really heightened dreams. I've noticed with Neptune being in Aries that dreams are heightened, memories can be heightened. And Mars with Neptune can feel like, where is my energy going? What am I moving toward? But you don't have to know in this moment. This isn't about clarity through force. This is about clarity through feeling. So, affirmation for this, we could say, I trust in the unseen currents guiding my path. This is a time to call in support from your spirit, from guides, and allow yourself to surrender control and connect to the energy of the flame with Aries. So it's moon, it's moon in Pisces. I said the moon was hanging out with Mars and Neptune. I misspoke. And this is also the Neptunian nature of it all. Moon is in Pisces, but Mars and Neptune are joining together in Aries. So the moon is not hanging out with them, but the moon will be later this week. So you can already see we're setting the tone with a Pisces moon, water, and then Mars and Neptune are joining in Aries, a fire sign. As we move into Tuesday, April 14th, Tuesday carries devotion and ignition. We have, at this moment in time, there's a lot of energy in Pisces. There's a lot of energy in Aries. So the moon will join with Vesta, which is currently in Pisces. So this week I'm feeling called to just following the moon, because the moon's going to be moving through Pisces and Aries and then Taurus, where a lot of the other planets are. So I'm just going to follow the moon's path throughout the week. So Tuesday, the moon aligns with Vesta, the asteroid of devotion, daily devotion to body, mind, and spirit, and forms an exact trine to Jupiter and Cancer. So when the moon meets up with Vesta, they will be at around 17, 18, 19 degrees, this kind of middle part of Pisces. And Vesta in Pisces, again, is devotion. Vesta to our spiritual practices, Pisces. Devotion to music and poetry and universal compassion. Forming a trine to Jupiter and Cancer. This whole year, Jupiter's in Cancer. So our sense of belonging is expanding and growing. That can also bring up a lot of past life or early childhood trauma around a sense of home and belonging as well. With Jupiter in Cancer this whole year, Jupiter entered Cancer at the end of June 2025 and will stay there until end of June 2026. So we're coming towards the last 2 months of Jupiter in Cancer, and so I'm paying attention to the moon in Pisces as it forms a trine to Jupiter in Cancer. And there's a lot of nourishment here, emotional support, a reminder that care is sacred. And then Mercury on Tuesday reaches the final degree, the anaretic degree of Pisces. Mercury has been hanging out in Pisces for some time. Since February, we had a retrograde in Pisces. And so this is the last breath of a cycle of thought, of perception, of communication. And then later in the evening on Tuesday, around 8:30 p.m., I'm always going to share Pacific Standard Time. Mercury enters Aries. And so translate for your time zone. If you're on the East Coast, this will be 11:30 p.m. So late in the evening Tuesday. So really we might not feel that until Wednesday. But Mercury enters Aries. Again, from water to fire. There's a lot of water and fire this week. The moon is still in Pisces. But it's a shift from our mental capacities being in a very dreamy, maybe blurry place on a more challenging day, but a more spiritual or poetic place on a lying day. Mercury shifting into Aries does encourage us to declare. And also late in the evening on Tuesday too, which will carry into Wednesday, is the Aries Kazemi. Kazemi is an Arabic word that means in the heart, as in the heart of the sun. And we have two of them this week. First is the Aries Kazemi. Eris, E-R-I-S, the planetoid, the goddess of discord, she's often referred to. She was discovered in 2005 and is the reason why Pluto was demoted from a planet to a planetoid. You might remember that. But Eris is the warrior feminine archetype. I connect her to things like feminist movements, trans feminist movements. Eris is connected to environmentalism, indigenous wisdom. Eris is about truth that reveals what's behind the veil. Eris kind of rips away the veil of illusion. And so she is the planet of this century. A planet was discovered in each century, an outer planet, Uranus in the 1700s, Neptune in the 1800s, Pluto in the 1900s, and now Eris here in this new millennium. And so she is the voice of this century, and she's also, I believe, connected to a lot of other asteroids being brought into the astrology practice. We all have Eris in Aries unless you were born before 1920. She stays in Aries for 120 years, but the sun joins with Eris on Tuesday evening, and we'll feel that Wednesday as well. This activates the voice of disruption, of truth, and of the outsider. Wednesday, then the moon moves into Aries, activating a sequence as there's a lot of energy in Aries. Wednesday is a full body ignition. The moon enters Aries around 7 a.m. and then aligns with Mercury in Aries at 0 degrees. 0 degrees is where Saturn and Neptune joined in Aries on February 20th or 21st, depending on where in the world you were. Saturn and Neptune don't meet up very often, every 36 years. So we had a major conjunction earlier this year. And so now that the moon and Mercury are meeting at 0 degrees of Aries, this is a ripple back to that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And so we might receive some information on this day around what this new chapter brings for us. Saturn will be in Aries for the next 2 years. Neptune will be in Aries for the next 14 years. And it also opens up that 36-year chapter with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So this is an important week for us. This is actually a really big astrological week of the year. Things might feel heightened. You might have some new information around the ways that your life is shifting and changing. You've been feeling that since probably February with Saturn and Neptune shifting into Aries. But now it's like the information comes in and there might be some more clarity and insight around this new direction for yourself. So it's important to stay grounded. This is initiation energy. So you may feel inspired. There might be a bit of uncertainty too because Neptune's there. You might feel a little bit motivated because Mars is there, a little disciplined because Saturn is there. But also a lot of this could feel a little overwhelming at times. So I want to encourage just some somatic practices, especially Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week, because then we head into the new moon. I'm inviting you into your body and whatever body-based practices you have. For me, it might be some sort of gentle form of yoga. For you, it might be Pilates, Tai Chi, going on a walk. Whatever you can do, connect to nature would be nice too. But let's kind of go down this day, Wednesday, April 15th. The day unfolds in waves around 11 a.m. The moon will then align with Neptune at 2 degrees of Aries. And by the way, if the degrees aren't making sense to you, if you're newer to astrology, just let it go and allow it to wash over you. But for those of you who are like deeper into your own chart, it might be helpful to hear these degrees. But around 11 a.m., so 7 a.m. on Wednesday, so early in the morning, the moon aligns with Mercury at 0 degrees of Aries. Then later in the day, around 11 a.m., the moon aligns with Neptune at 2 degrees of Aries. And then around 3 p.m., the moon aligns with Mars at 4 degrees of Aries. And then around 7:30 p.m., the moon aligns with Saturn at 7 degrees of Aries. So that whole day, Wednesday, is an opportunity for us to feel into all of this Aries energy. And Aries says begin, Neptune says trust, Mars says act, Saturn says commit. So bring awareness to your head, your face, your eyes. This is all of Aries territory. You can breathe this into your face, into your brain, into your eyes. I take courageous steps that honor my truth. So what are you ready to begin, even if you don't have all of the answers? Thursday is the Chiron Cazimi. So this is our second Cazimi this week. Again, a Cazimi is when a planet lines into the heart of the sun. So Thursday is very tender. Chiron is the wounded healer. Sun conjunct Chiron. This is a moment where the wound meets the light of the sun. This is where healing becomes very visible, where something deeply personal may be illuminated, not to hurt you, but to transform you. Chiron is connected to abandonment wounds. Chiron is a place of deep listening to your soul gifts as well. So whatever wounds are coming up for you, it's an opportunity for you to step into the role of mentor or teacher, both for yourself and with others. Chiron is a mentor and teacher, and I would love to go deeper into Chiron. I think I'll probably release an Aries New Moon episode this week as well on Thursday or Friday, just because it's such a big week. So stay tuned for that. Mercury joins with Neptune and Aries at the exact degree. They were already hanging out with each other, but the Mercury-Neptune Cazimi, or the Mercury-Neptune conjunction is on this day, and it adds a dreamlike quality to communications. Messages may feel intuitive, poetic, or unclear. So Thursday is not necessarily a day for rigid logic. This is a day for compassion. And then we move into Friday, and we have the Aries New Moon. It's early in the morning on Friday, around 4:50 a.m. This is the heart of the week. New moons, new you. This is a time to drop in. It's the dark night, so it is a good time to go within, to set new intentions. And it's happening around 4:50 a.m. Pacific Standard Time at 27 degrees of Aries. And so this new moon is conjunct both Chiron and Eris. We have had the Chiron-Eris conjunction this year, healing wounds around feminist movements, healing wounds of abandonment around the environment and feminist movements. Again, I'll go deeper into this on the Aries New Moon podcast episode later this week. And then from a cosmic level, what I think is really interesting is that Aries is hierarchical ruler. This is from esoteric astrology, is Uranus. And Uranus is at the 29th degree of Taurus this whole week. And then the moon enters Taurus as we get into the weekend by around about 9 a.m. Friday morning, actually, because since this new moon is in such late degrees of Aries, the new moon is Friday morning early, like 4:50 a.m. But then by 9 a.m., the moon shifts into Taurus. Because we're at the end of Aries season, the new moon is at the end of Aries. So we'll be feeling a sense of grounding maybe later in Friday, but still processing the week. The moon, as it enters Taurus, does align with Ceres, the asteroid of transforming grief through your work, through your craft, through tending to the land. And then the moon aligns with Venus, which is in Taurus, late in the evening. And this is on Saturday. The moon aligns with Aries and Venus. So moon is in Taurus Friday and Saturday and Sunday. The moon joins with Uranus for the final time while Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus is going to enter Gemini on April 25th. So next week, we'll talk about Uranus entering Gemini. And so the moon joins Uranus for the final time on Sunday, while Uranus is in Taurus, a closing chapter around embodiment, value, and change in regards to finances, our sense of worth and value that we've been undergoing since about 2018. And then around 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, the sun enters the fixed earth sign of Taurus, April 19th. Wow, we're making it through Aries season 2026, and it is an Aries season for the books. 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, April 19th, the sun enters Taurus just in time for Earth Day, and a new 30-day solar cycle begins. This is a time for us to then begin to integrate the changes into our body through grounding, through the 5 senses. And so as we head into the weekend, the moon will be in Taurus, and it kind of ushers us into Taurus season. So engage your senses, touch something, get your hands in the dirt, taste something slowly, step outside, feel the air on your skin. Affirmation as we head into Taurus season: I am allowed to slow down and receive. I'm allowed to slow down and receive. And so as I sit here, the sun is now fully rising. I just looked right into the sun, speaking of Kazimis. The light is touching everything around me, and I'm reminded, even in grief, even in tenderness, that life continues to move. And that's really when the veil opens for us, is through grief and these liminal spaces, not in a way that dismisses pain, but in a way that holds it. And this week, it feels like that water and fire coming together and then ending with some earth. So go gently, stay close to your body, and remember, you don't have to do it all at once. If you would like to take advantage of my rates the way that they have been for the last 5 years, I do have astrology and tarot readings available, along with mentorship opportunities and my new offering, the Cosmic Mixtape, which is about a 60 to 90 minute personalized recording just for you, and I choose songs that are inspired by your birth chart. So if you like music and you'd like a unique way to experience music and your birth chart, you could also check that out, Cosmic Mixtape. My rates are going up on the Aries New Moon for the first time in 5 or 6 years. So if you want to take advantage of the way my rates are now, you could check that out. Again, thanks as always for being here. I'm sending you love from this desert sunrise. Until next time, take sweet care, cousins, and remember, deep breaths.